Welcome to Powers of Alignment audio podcast. Let's take a slow breath. Not to force ourselves into calmness, but to simply arrive here for a moment. Because right now, today, there are many people who are not actually tired from life. They are tired from carrying shame. And shame is heavy. It's not just emotional, but it affects the physical as well. It sits in our chest, in the nervous system, all over the body, and in the thoughts, and most of the time, even when we are silent. And there were periods in my own life as well where externally everything looked okay. I had the career, the achievements, the image, the family, the movement, and the people around me. But internally, I was carrying things that I never fully faced. The nights that I could not sleep peacefully, and moments where I keep reaching out to distract myself. Moments where I keep needing movements, motion, attention, achievement, or just craving for emotional intensity to avoid sitting quietly with myself. And then I fully realized that underneath all these patterns was actually shame. Not just guilt, shame. And the shame is not feeling enough internally. The shames of the mistake that we made. The shame of emotional weakness. The shame of needing validation for someone to validate and approve. And the shame of becoming someone that I don't even fully recognize anymore. And the dangerous things about shame is that it makes people hide. Not always physically, but deep inside emotionally. The part that is locked away from everyone else. And the person can still laugh, go to work, close deals, show up for meetings, go to the gym, have a social life, and maybe even smile to your partner. But internally, they slowly disconnect from themselves. And over time, the energy to constantly disconnect becomes so exhausting. And I remember periods where I would feel anxiety, and not just small anxiousness, but huge waves of anxiety over very small things like client issue, message, a delay in response, financial pressure, relationship tension, maybe even unwillingness to accept loneliness. And externally, people may think just this is a small issue. But internally myself, the nervous system, which was already overloaded, and any unresolved shame does not stay isolated. It begins to leak into every areas of our life. Into the relationships, how emotions show up, reaction to situations, the quality of sleep, overall energy, sexual vitality. And many men never realize this. They think all I need to do is just to work harder, push with more discipline, maybe close another bigger deal, get a better job, find a better partner. But most times, the soul is not asking for another achievement. It is seeking for the truth. And the truth can feel very terrifying at first, because once you stop distracting yourself, you begin to hear yourself clearly again, and the patterns of escaping, performing, emotional dependence, chase for validation, constantly needing dopamine to feel alive, and avoiding areas of our life. And this awareness can feel very painful. And some of you may reach out for the drink, for the cigarette, for that phone call, for the movie show. And there were moments where we have a choice to just pause before we take an action out of avoidance, and to look at, why am I reacting this way? Why do I still feel restless? And how many times have I thought when I get what I want, I will feel okay, but eventually still feeling empty? And why does the temporary validation, the feeling good, goes away faster and faster, and leaving me emptier afterwards? And with progression, you will begin to realize something important, that not all of us are addicted to pleasure. In fact, all men are addicted to relief, to comfort. And this is very different from a relief from loneliness, being not enough, shame, or emotional heaviness. Because as one continues to pursue the relief to become the goal, the escape becomes the direction instead of the journey that grows us. And that's where unconsciously we will develop unhealthy loops and reinforce them again and again through validation, fantasy, sexual, performance, and maybe even masked as continuous achievements. Because for just a while, these temporarily silence the pain. And when the emotions wear off, the shame comes back stronger. And there were periods when I remembered that my nervous system becomes so extremely sensitive. Small problems becomes an overwhelming mountain. I can sense that the body feels restless, and emotions became unpredictable. Relationships need to be built on highly charged sexuality. There were often intense craving to feel complete numbness. And this cycle is very confusing, not only for the mind, but for the body as well as the spirit. But over time, as I practice the powers of alignment, we can get to understand when the body is overloaded and overstimulated. The nervous system becomes tired. And on this part of recovery is when the shame starts to leave the body, and this experience is not necessarily peaceful. Some of you might even feel worse at first because the body, we, by choice, is no longer choosing to numb the body the same way anymore. And the feeling that was buried for the longest time, whether it is grief, fear, loneliness, craving for genuine intimacy, exhaustion, and all these feelings that arose during this stage. Men who do not have the powers of alignment panic, and they thought that they are losing themselves. But often, this is where men are truly, finally meeting themselves honestly for the first time. And there were many nights, I remember, sitting alone, feeling emotionally exhausted, realizing how much energy previously went into chasing external feelings, wanting to be chosen by as many people as possible. The more validation and likes I get, fill up the illusion of being wanted, desired, putting myself above others to feel important, and squeezing myself into social circles to just feel relevant. And underneath all that was just a very simple, plain human desire to feel enough. But healing slowly taught me something deeper. No amount of external validation can permanently heal internal shame. No success, no attraction, not money, attention or achievements, or love. Because shame is not soft externally. Over time, it will be softened through self-honesty, practice of alignment, and being present. And as this changed the way that I started approaching recovery, the question changed from asking myself, how do I escape not feeling this way, to how can I stay present with myself through this feeling? And the rephrase of this internal dialogue changes everything. Not immediately, progressively. Recovery becomes quieter, less dramatic, less experience of addiction, and we will start to realize that the peace that we thought we knew feels very differently. Of course, intensity, craving would still feel exciting as part of how the body registers the memories of it. We will come to experience it as something unstable. And as we look at the flip side, where peace then would feel unfamiliar initially, somehow deep in ourselves through alignment, we experience genuine safety. And for many out there who are used to chaos, mistaken peace for emptiness, because I've been there too. Because when the nervous system has been so used to stimulation, stillness feels uncomfortable. Eventually, the stillness becomes healing. Walking becomes healing. Session at the gym becomes healing than a need to prove. Prayer becomes healing rather than wishing. Honest conversations becomes healing rather than performance. Silence becomes healing rather than restlessness. Because the problems don't disappear immediately. It disappears because when we choose to stop abandoning ourselves and realize this is one of the deepest parts of recovery. As we approach the end of this audio podcast, learning how to stay with ourselves without escaping immediately, holding ourselves accountable without needing to chase instant relief or to prove my self-worth constantly. And perhaps, we know this is where the true masculine healing begins. Not by cutting off our emotions or become domineering or alpha, perfect, but the integration within ourselves that we, as the alignment that can feel deeply without collapsing, who have healthy desires without addiction, leading without performing, and we can fail without destroying ourselves internally. And this true strength today is something that I would never be able to understand without the powers of alignment. And many people out there are still carrying shame, and they are not bad people. Once we are able to experience and understand, we can see the tiredness in these people that are carrying unnecessary weight because they are disconnected with themselves, pushing themselves so hard just to survive emotionally without even healing. And by any chance, if you can relate and you are currently in this space, may I encourage you to be patient with yourself, because progress and recovery is not linear. There will be days that you feel calm, then days you become emotional. There are days that are grounded. The next moment you are tempted. And there are days that we will feel just deeply tired. And all we have to do is just keep walking gently. Not to force to perform, nor to prove ourselves or anyone else. Once the direction is clear towards our inner alignment, towards the truth and peace. Because eventually, the version of you that you once felt broken may actually become the beginning of your awakening. As you take in one more deep breath, here's the message to yourself that you do not need to become someone else. You only need to stop abandoning yourself and progressively return home within. And this is Paul Teo. This is your powers of alignment. Your attraction starts within.